What bothers me is we are dehumanizing people by isolating ourselves, and the hate we spew out in private, children are going to hear. How much of that will they internalize, and how long before they, as teenagers, under the influence of alcohol, act in a way you would never consider? Remember Matthew Shepard and those in Laramie saying, "They don't teach hate"? They may not, but how they behave often tells children far more than some set of words you think you should say. I hear many scholars say what separates humanity from the rest of the animal kingdom is we have opposable thumbs that allow us to grasp and thus create. We have rational thought. We don't have to react before we think. We are able to countermand our instincts. This is going to be about 2016, 2017, the primal reaction to Donald Trump. You might hate or love him, but I would wager few have no opinions on the matter. Clearly, Hillary Clinton was the more qualified candidate, so you must be sexist if you voted against her. Trump trumpeted birther ideology on President Obama, so if you supported him, you must also be a racist. Yet each time I interact with others as a gay man, it is nearly impossible not to have contact with those that fundamentally hate everything Trump seems to say. Always, they do admit they didn't much care for Hillary Clinton, but she was more qualified. She was incredibly flawed, but she was more qualified, I'll admit that. I struggled with this, and I've went into detail on my reasons already, so I will not do so here. The question I am asking all of us, are we a species that can rationalize, or are we no better than any other beast that must react without thought? He is the type of person that polarizes. I see the extremes, and I refuse to react blindly to words. I will not pretend that any poll said Hillary landslide was the only possible outcome. The last 6 presidential elections showed a polarized nation. Nothing proved or showed that a landslide was in the offing. Those in front of a microphone insisted he would not be president. The level of denial was insane, and it added to the toxic brew that we've been seeing for nearly 3 decades, what I've labeled revenge politics. I don't believe impeachment is a danger anymore. Trump does not need anyone defending him. In my opinion, he will either be a great president or a disaster going down in flames, but he won't be mediocre. I will only point out that every time I hear from those with access to a microphone insist on some collusion theory, that somehow the election was stolen, that what I'm hearing is they are telling me I'm so naive, incompetent, uneducated, that we couldn't see how flawed Trump was. That triggers me to an unbelievable degree, because I struggled day and night, and when I did leave the fence, it wasn't until September. Before that, I was warning the left not to act as if she couldn't lose, because it made no sense. When it was clear that there were going to only be 2 viable choices. I say viable because from October 2016 to November the 8th, 2016, those against Trump kept saying we had other options, assuming, I guess, I was too stupid to figure out that this was a close election and both candidates were awful. They said I should vote third party at the same time they admitted how much they disliked Hillary Clinton's character. The irony was, they didn't understand the reason they stayed with Hillary was the same reason I stayed with Trump. The alternative to me was worse. For me, it had less to do with either candidate and more to do with those in front of a microphone insulting the voters, insisting if you voted for Trump, you were uneducated, naive. I struggled with this since late 2015. The problem is the Trump voters were prepared to lose, and sadly the media commentary left Hillary voters complacent. The more those in front of a microphone insist propaganda changed this election, the more insulted, rational people that struggled with this mess and voted for Trump will feel alienated. They are insulting our intelligence. It reminds me of the 2000 Florida election. Dade and Broward counties, those with access to a microphone insisted a so-called butterfly ballot caused some to vote for Buchanan. At the time, the right joked because evidently the left thought Floridians were too inept to take a finger and run it across to make sure they were putting a hole in the right punch. An election that is going to affect you for 4 years, and they couldn't even do that little bit. I never before realized how insulting the idea was to those two counties' voters. In order to win an election in the courts, they had to prove those voters were incapable or just didn't care how they voted. And I wonder how insulted those voters that voted felt, knowing that the rest of the country thought they couldn't be bothered in an election to take a finger and draw a line. Well, I understand all too well today because the same thing is being done to a majority of states. Not just one state, a majority. Yes, Trump is a polarizing figure, but remember, Trump voters did have reasons. We have free will. Every religion, and I think even scientists, would agree on that. To dehumanize a group of people is not healthy and leads to others acting in ways they might not if they didn't just see labels, but realized these are people too. I can't forget that what led ultimately to Matthew Shepard's death in 1998, October the 12th, is a couple of kids that were drunk committed violence against a man for refusing to pretend. And we should never forget Hitler's final solution, or how he treated gays, or ISIS and other radical groups, or Russia targeting gays. These are entities that spend all their time dehumanizing by grouping all under a label, and it's far easier to see violence against a label. It's only when it happens to an individual, like Matthew Shepard, that many get a glimpse that these are real people. And this is the people that you are spouting hate to your children about. And I find it ironic that I, a gay man, is today defending those who don't value my life, because I will not be a party to staying silent while those with a microphone spew out insane ideas just to increase their own power and not caring the damage they are doing to society in general. Thank you. Bye.